Hello, welcome back to Interview. I'm Mike Billiot. Today, my guest is Terrebonne Parish Councilman Kevin Voisin. Kevin, we were talking before about you being on the council and what that's like. You have a fellow Republican in the executive branch of the office in Michel Claudet, who is the parish president. What's it like working with Michel Claudet?
Sure, I think Michel is an extremely capable person. If anything, I often tease him that he's overqualified and overcapable for the position of parish president. I mean, he just really understands the parish, really understands what needs to happen, and really wants to get it done. He's a real get it done type of person. If there's something that he lacks, it's number one, the vision to see sometimes you can't do it all at one time. But number two, he doesn't interface well with telling people what he's doing. You know, he doesn't interface well with the press, in my opinion. Michel is the kind of guy who's going to walk into the room, and if in order to get something done, he has to give you credit for it and he gets no credit, okay, that's a given. He's not worried about the credit. He's not worried about the press. He's worried about what's the right thing to do and getting it done. And for me, that's a refreshing kind of person to work with. I mean, he just really wants to make the right thing happen.
But does that make a good politician? Because don't politicians have to be good at promoting themselves?
Right, exactly. I'm not sure that he's the best politician. In fact, I'm positive he's not the best politician. But he really is someone who's moving the parish forward. I mean, you know, you can say, you know, there's all sorts of press surrounding Michel Claudet, but look around. Look at the new roads. Look at the new levees. Look at what's actually gone down. And I think that speaks for itself. You know, there's a tremendous amount of good that's being done with the council and Michel. You know, the way we're set up, Michel can't do anything without the council and vice versa. So it's everybody that shares in that. But he really spearheads it. He really pushes the issue and brings things to a fine point. And I think he does an exceptionally good job. He has vision, and the combination of vision and not wanting to promote yourself sometimes will coalesce into maybe getting some bad press. But I'll tell you, he sees what's coming in 5 years. He wants to react to it now rather than waiting, and I applaud him for that.
How have you interacted with the rest of the council members? What's it like? Because when you came to office, all the rest of the council members were already seated. What's it like working with those council members?
Sure, I think I'm kind of the eternal new guy. You know, I didn't start with this council, and I'm the youngest councilman there. And
as a matter of fact, I think that most people, because of your success in your business life, and I know that you also serve on several boards in town.
Sure.
Might forget how young you are. You're only 34 years old.
Right, exactly.
And you're the executive of a major seafood company.
Sure.
And now you're an elected official. You're only 34 years old. You're the youngest councilman. And in fact, you play a part in how over $100 million budget for Terrebonne Parish is distributed. And that's, I think, a very important role. How do you view your role now as an elected official, a first-time elected official, in distributing these funds for services within the parish?
Sure. I think that, you know, when I came on, I was much more like a lot of people who thought, boy, nothing's working. Everything's too slow. Everything's, you know, nothing works. The parish government, there's a lot of bunglers, and they just can't get anything right. Why don't they do things like businesses do things? And it didn't take very long at all to realize why we don't do things like businesses do things, because there's $180 or $200 million of the people's money that we have to make decisions about. And if we executed like a business, which is, I own the place, I'm going to make the decision, get out of the way or I'll fire you, boy, that doesn't work. It just doesn't work in government. I mean, it just can't work. So you adjust your expectations and you realize what actually is going on is, in many areas, the parish is extremely good at what they do. They really are. A lot of great employees, a lot of people have a tremendous amount of knowledge that just isn't enough. The need sometimes is so much greater than what anybody could put forth. Take drainage, for example. We have some really good engineers. We have some really good understanding of what to do. Unfortunately, we have a $170 million budget and a $2 billion need for drainage improvements. So we have to manage things little bits at a time, and that's what gets to be really tough. Is you have a very finite set of resources and an almost infinite set of problems when you start to talk about coastal restoration, levees, drainage, and infrastructure. The needs are tremendous compared to the monies we have. I've really enjoyed working with the council. I think sometimes one thing I didn't realize is, there's 9 of us, and to do anything we need 5 of us, and to do anything right we need 7 or 8 of us, in my opinion. If you get a whole lot of 5-4 votes, then you just have you have some factions or something, and we don't have a lot of those. We have some notable 5-4 votes, but it's not a norm. We aren't factioned. You see different people voting in different ways on different issues, and I think that's healthy. We have a very refreshing council to me, because people are willing to say what they think. They're willing to put their ideas around. And I can't think of anyone on that council that just votes some way because someone else said to do it. It just isn't that way. And so even though we have multiple 5-4 votes, it's usually a different 5 and a different 4. And I think that's a very healthy council. It speaks to the credit of our chairperson, Councilwoman Arlonda Williams. But it also speaks to the credit of everybody that sits in that chair to try to keep Terrebonne Parish first in our mind. Now, sometimes we disagree greatly in what's best for Terrebonne Parish, and we will do battle, as it were, either with words or with actions and motions. But at the end of the day, we all want good for Terrebonne, and that keeps us unified.
You are famous for having an open door policy, actually, literally open door policy. Tell me about how you came to have that open door policy, and about your door at the Terrebonne Parish Council.
Sure. We have a very nice set of offices up on the 6th floor of the government tower. I invite anybody who wants to come and see them to come and see them. Whether I'm there or not, they can get a tour of what our offices are like. It's very nice to have that because it's a quiet place we can go to meet individuals, or we can just go to think outside of, we're all part-time. Parish councilmen are that's a part-time position, but it's not a part-time position in your mind. It's 24/7, and people call all the time. Sometimes we need a place to go that's quiet to talk to someone about an issue, or just to think about Terrebonne without all of the other distractions. But when I first started, I asked Paul Labatt, he's the council clerk, who incidentally my grandfather, as the police jury president, hired Paul. When I won, he said, "Look, as long as Paul never retires, you're going to be okay." Which Paul's retiring in November,
so you might not be okay.
But I asked Paul, I said, I have a question no one's ever asked. He says, "Well, I doubt that, seriously." And I said, "Can I take my door off the hinges?" And he says, "Well, I don't know." We got approval. The first day that I was in office, we went and took the door off the hinges. And it's an open door policy. The door now sits on a wall in my office. But it's, a lot of people said, "Well, it's a publicity stunt," But no, it's to remind me that as a public official, there shouldn't be doors to close, unless it's some kind of personnel issue where just legally you can't talk about it. If I touch it, I feel like it's become a public document. If someone tells it to me and it's not, some legally binding confidentiality, then I'm going to give it to whoever asks for it, because that's the kind of public official I want to be. Now, I don't fault anyone else for leaving their doors closed. I mean, it's not like everybody's got to take their doors off. I just needed that. I'm very young. I was very intimidated by this responsibility, and the door being off the hinges is to remind me. When I'm in a meeting, there's no door, and if we got to go someplace, there's a door. There better be a real compelling reason, or I don't want to go, because I just feel like the people of Terrebonne deserve that, and that's a reminder to me more than anybody else that, hey, look, what you say applies to everybody, or maybe you shouldn't say it.
Now, you are up for re-election next year.
Sure.
Actually, the election starts. The election is going to be next year. You've
Right.
only been in office for a year and a half, but in 2011 you will run again. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about your future political ambitions and whether or not you will seek the office that you now hold once again. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Interview with Mike Billiot.